Hey, poker people. Thanks for tuning in to another day of hand reading, day 13 of 66 in a row. Yeah, no, 66 sounds like a heck of a lot, but it takes on average 66 days to develop a new habit, and sounds like a heck of a lot, but because hand reading is such an important skill, I think it's a habit worth developing. The goal is to do hand reading so often off the felt that thinking, that range thinking in percentage form, thinking of combos, thinking of how strong their range is, how strong it hits the flop, how well the turn helps their range, all that stuff. The goal is to take all of that off the felt knowledge and practice that we're doing and then translate it into on the felt successful decisions made. So that's what we are doing today. You can see Poker Tracker 4 right there on the screen for you. We are going through some 3-betting hands on the Merge Network, hands that went to Showdown, and hands where I was a 3-better. Sometime later, like in a few days, we'll switch to hands where I faced a 3-bet and still saw Showdown. So maybe I called, maybe I 4-bet, whatever, but we'll get to those in a little bit. The other day, or in the last session, we did an early position hand. Let's look up here at the button now. Look for some good action. You can see there's only 9 hands went to Showdown where I was a 3-better, and you can see that 1280 big blind positive all together out of these 34 hands, which is pretty good. I'm 3-betting well. I think a lot of the hands that I 3-bet that go to Showdown, I flop really well, or I have an overpair and I just take it through the streets and get some good value. But let's take a look here. A lot of checks. This one might be good. Raise, bet, raise hand. So we'll do this. We'll do this one. Who knows what it is, how much we win or lose. But basically, we are ranging the villain in this instance. I'm not going to look at my hand. I'm going to keep that a secret. I'm going to assign myself a decent 3-betting hand, though, when we're doing this. And, of course, we use Flopzilla for all the practice. And then we also use Split Suit's hand reading templates, which, of course, you could see at the bottom of the screen, splitsuit.com/templates, pay what you want, donation kind of price going on for these. So we'll just jump right to it. Only 11 hands on the guy. He min raises, no idea what he has. He has, you can see, a 60 big blind stack. So that might be a consideration here. Make it 3.5x. Okay, understandable. Ooh, small blind calling. Oh, 2 callers. I don't know who the villain is going to be just yet. Let's see if somebody folds. Holy cow, are we going to the river? Okay, so the villain is Shony Cash here. We could take the time and try to range both villains, but for the fact that we aren't going to see liquidate's Showdown, I don't want to take the time and range him at the same time. We could, but we won't do that. We'll just concern ourselves with Shony Cash's decisions, knowing that there's 2 other players in the pot. So it could still be some pretty interesting hand reading practice that we're doing here. So let's see. Okay, perfect. We've got Shony Cash opened. We 3.5x'd it. So right now we're on the button. I'm going to give myself a pretty decent hand. Give myself pocket jacks. Oh, crap, I misclicked it. We all saw what he had. Well, I meant to click on the table. I clicked on his hand. What a bummer. But that's okay. We'll still do the hand reading as best we can, assign him a range. And obviously now that we know his hand, we're going to keep it in. We're not going to delete it at any time. But what a bummer. I apologize for that, everybody. But, you know, it's hand reading practice. Mistakes happen. So let's see here. He opened and then he raised. We're saying that we have pocket jacks in this instance. He opened and then he min opened and then raised. So let's start off by looking at just min opened and then called. Let's start off by looking at 2-bet ranges. And we got to keep that Queen 9 suited in, so we're going to give him a 25% range. Most likely, if I hadn't have seen that just now, I probably would have started him off with something like a 15%, maybe given him all the aces. I don't think I would have gone as low as Queen 9. But now that we know it, we're going to give him that. If he's able to min raise and then call with Queen 9, we're going to put every ace in his range. He's just an unknown player. We don't know much about him. And then let's actually go this far as well, too. Now that we know he's a little bit looser of a player, we'll give him some more suited gappers and suited kings and stuff. All right, so let's remove this hand first. As it stands right now, 34%, 454 combos. Let's see, we 3-bet on the button versus an under the gun min open. An unknown under the gun min open. SB and UTG calls. Great. So flop, whatever comes. Turn. River. Hand number 878-74162. I wonder what that parentheses 41 means. I don't know. Session 41 maybe. I have no idea. So anyway, so that's the range that we're going to put them on. 34%, 454 combos. Now we put our pocket jacks in. Makes sense. So as it stands right now, our pocket jacks have 69%. It's a pretty darn wide range. He can hit a ton of different flush draws, a lot of different weird straight kind of hands in here with like gut shots and open enders that he could be flopping on this board. So, and you can see how kind of top card heavy it is. There's plenty of middle cards as well, but pretty top card heavy. So any kind of flop with like kings and jacks and queens and tens and nines, we're going to be kind of not worried about, but a little bit concerned about because it does hit his calling range so well. And the flop comes Jack 10 deuce, which hits him pretty strongly, I would assume. Jack 10, oh, what was the deuce? Diamonds. So, well, if we do have pocket jacks, we just hit top set right here. So we have 91% equity. If we had something not as good, if we had the queens and overpair, 75%. So still pretty good equity either way. So, but you can see that this flop does give him plenty of flush draws. 25 combos, open ender, not much, only 24 combos, but he has 25 combos as well. Oh, that's a 49 cards out of his entire range hit some kind of a pretty decent draw worth sticking in with. Yeah, so this is a flop that will probably want to go for max value, maybe not be bluffing so much on this easy to hit board versus two callers right here. So, oh, what was it? Jack 10 deuce. No, Jack of spades, 10 of spades, deuce of diamonds. All right. So he checks, and then we bet 275, exactly half pot, and a call, and then another call. So Shoni Cash called right here, check calling against two other players, half pot bet. So the pot, what kind of equity did he need here? He needed only 20% equity, so he can be calling with a wide range because that pot is so big. I don't know much about him. We're going to say that he can slow play sets. He can slow play two pair on this board. If that wasn't a deuce, it may, or yeah, let's say it was the 8 of clubs or the 8 of spades, kind of wetter board, or even like the queen. If he had two pair or a set, he might be check raising in this instance. But it's down here. That's not the scariest of cards to go with that jack in the 10. Whoops. So he check called sets over two pair over pair. Just this one street. Because we just don't know. People are capable of doing that. Middle pairs now. All those 10s, he can because the pot is so big. He probably shouldn't be against two other players, but he can. Weak pairs, they're all under pairs. I think they're all folding. If there's some kind of a draw, he could be staying in. Weak pairs are folding. Ace highs are folding. No mate hand. Flush draws are calling. Open-ended straight draws are calling. Gut shots, we could say he's calling a street just over cards. Some of them have gut shots, or they all have gut shots, or an open ender for the king queen. So no, we won't say just straight over cards, but we've got them covered. 2-card backdoor flush. We don't know anything about the opponent. He might do that and just check fold on a non-diamond turn. So we'll keep that in at least. Gut shot plus the overcards, those ones, they're already counted with the gut shots, but that's fine. So we are going to say that this is his new range, 198 combos, 54% of his prior range. So we've been able to take 46% of his range out due to his check calling action. We just don't know enough about the guy to know that he would always raise with the sets or with the two pairs, and we don't know that he would always fold middle pair. We just gotta kind of base our hand reading or our narrowing right now on just assumptions about player types and what he's looking at the time, because right now, before he makes his call, he's looking at, wow, the pot's already $11. I have to call $3 to win a total pot of 11. After my call, it's 14. I mean, that's what he's looking at. So he's going to call with a ton of weaker hands, which we have right here. I mean, sure, those weak pairs, he can get rid of those on the wet board, but we'll leave those out for sure. Yep. Good. Oh, whoops. And as you can see in these hand reading practices, like if you watch other people, their hand reading videos, oftentimes, you know, they plan it out. They're nice and smooth and they have their talking points and stuff. I'm actually showing you how I hand read in my study session. You know, I don't know what the hand is ahead of time. I haven't planned out my talking points or anything. I'm just basically reviewing a hand for the first time and then hand reading. So you're going to hear me fumbling over my words and going back and forth a lot, just like I would do in an actual hand reading session. Which that's what this is, basically. Ooh, King of Diamonds comes. Lovely. So on the King of Diamonds, if we do have the top set, some of his straight draws, well, gut shots and open enders, the straight draws, they completed right there with the King of Diamonds. Flush draws didn't complete. Backdoor flushes added some equity to their hands right here. But we still have a great hand, and there's no way, like, we wouldn't be check and then, or we wouldn't be betting and then folding to a check fold, or if he decides to donk shove right here, he has 11 into a $13 pot. We're not folding with a set if we do have the set. Even if we have pocket queens at this point, we've still got the pair. We can't necessarily put him on a queen right away. We would probably be calling a shove from him at this point. Oh, wow, I start off with a pretty good stack right here. I must have been doing good at the table before this. But we'll keep me on the jacks. Let's see, what is the action? Oh, and then so on the jacks, we have 77% equity, but a lot of his draws got there, which we saw before was like almost like 50 hands got there just now. Oh, and he does shove. Wow. So what is shoving on this king right here? His straights are shoving because it's less than a pot size bet. So it's pretty easy just to get it all in. If we have even a top pair, if we have ace king right now, we're probably calling. So he's shoving his straights, he's shoving his sets, his two pair. I don't like shoving a jack 10 right now. It just made the board wetter. He's only going to get called by some kind of trips if he does have jack 10. He's going to get called by trips, or better, is he going to get called by like a weaker two pair, like a 10 deuce or a jack deuce? No. So I don't think he'd be shoving all of his two pair hands. What he could shove, let's right click and then filter. Let's take out the jack 10s. He doesn't have those. He could be shoving, all of a sudden he hit two pair with the king jack or the king 10. I can see him check calling the flop with the top pair hand with a king kicker, or even a second pair hand with a king kicker, and then hitting the king. Now I got two pair. Now I'm going to shove it in on this wet board. I can see that happening. Over pairs? Oh, you know, I should have taken those out of his pre-flop range. That's okay. We kept it in. We don't know anything about him. He could try to slow play us with a pair of aces. But right now, for shoving now, I think he would have shoved or check shoved or check raised on the flop with an overpair. So let's take those out of his range. So that was a mistake on my part. So that's a good lesson learned right here. I don't know if you can read this in the video due to calling the 3-bet. What I wrote for a note for myself was forgot to remove queens are better, and ace king, possibly ace king, from his pre-flop range due to calling the 3-bet pre. Yeah, so I should have, at a minimum, I should have taken out kings and aces, possibly queens, possibly ace king. Yeah, so that's okay. I mean, we removed him from his range right now. They're out of his range now because I really doubt he has those overpairs. Actually, even straights, not straights, sets. Let's take out the kings because seriously, those shouldn't have been in there from pre-flop anyway in the first place. They really should not have been. Overpairs, top pairs now. Ace kings, those could be in there, and they could be shoving right now because they called on the flop with a gut shot. They suddenly hit top pair. Bam, I'm getting my money in. Pocket pair below top. I'm not going to say he has queens. Well, you know, he could have queens, actually, come to think of it. He could have just called, man, with the queens. Middle pairs are not shoving. Weak pairs are not. Ace highs, no. Flush draws now. Are those actually shoving? I could put those in shoving ranges on the turn. Turn flush draws. Flopped, not flopped flushes, no. Flop flush draws now, no. Open ender? That's just a random queen, right? Yeah, would those actually shove right now? I don't think they'd shove. I think they'd check call with, even if they have like a queen 10 for a weak third pair hand with a draw. Nah, let's not say that. Yeah, so I think that's what we want to keep in right there. Nope. Good. Okay. So we've narrowed him based on his shove right here. We've narrowed him down to 65% of his flop range and 117 combos. Now, if we do have the pocket jacks here, well, we have pretty darn good equity, 73%. Sure, he just hit his straight, but we took out his overset to our pocket jacks. So, like, really, we have the best set possible. We're only losing to straights, and he could have a draw and hit on the river, and he's getting it for free. He's seeing the river for free right now, and so we shove to isolate. My guess seriously is now that I re-isolate shoved, I don't have ace queen. I don't have the straight. And the reason why is because if I had the straight, if I had the nut hand right now, oh man, would I want to charge possible flush draws to come along? Yeah, it's possible we do have ace queen. I can see the ace queen betting the flop, and I could see me shoving here, hoping that he calls, even if he calls with a flush draw, but just getting maximum value because he's calling on a draw, and I'm getting all the money. So if a flush draw doesn't hit, or if the board doesn't pair and he has like some kind of 2-pair hand, I'm winning with my straight. So yeah, I think I could have a straight here. And then he folds. Great. So we get to see an ace, pocket kings. Wow. And then so he had the queen 9. Yep. Which we knew from the start because I screwed up and clicked that. But we had the pocket kings, which does make sense the way I played it. Definitely. Oh, there's a conflict. Whatever. I have a different king. Yeah. So my hand is 70% when he shoves, because he is shoving some kind of weaker stuff right there on the river. But, that's fine. Decent hand reading practice. I think I would have failed originally because I don't think I would have put a queen 9 suited in his min raise and calling out of position range. I really don't think I would have done that. Yep. So no, how about we put a note down here? Ended up with queen 9 suited, so he UTG open called pre with that hand, which seems like a pretty losing weak play to me. So what note? UTG min open overcall with queen 9 suited. 3-bet this fool big. Ha! Look at this. This is a note that I made on him before. UTG min open overcall, min open then overcall with queen 9 suited. And in parentheses, and then I put this all in caps. Any note to me, like things that I need to do against a player, I put in caps. And in caps, I put 3-bet this fool big for value. So from now on, if I get into a 3-betting situation with this guy and I see that note, even if he min bets, I'm probably going to make it 4.5 or maybe even 5x to get value from the guy, because he's just a risk taker and is willing to call with queen 9 suited. He's probably willing to call with, king 10 suited and maybe even queen 8 suited and ace 5 suited, maybe willing to call. So if I have a value hand, I should be going for max value against such a calling station pre-flop. Totally. Alrighty, well, thank you very much, everybody, for watching day 13 of 14. I'll be back later with day 13 of 66. I'll be back later with day 14. Take care.